everybody. I will be presenting on the topic of suicide risk after bariatric surgery. There are a number of psychiatric comorbidities associated with obesity. These include eating disorders such as binge eating disorder, bulimia, and conditions that are especially seen in obese patients, such as night eating or graze eating. Depression is a psychiatric condition with an interlinked etiological process with obesity. It is seen that females and elderly patients and patients of lower income are more likely to experience depression along with obesity. Anxiety disorder is seen especially in severely obese or morbidly obese individuals. It can be hypothesized that obesity is linked with an increased risk of suicide. 19 to 66% of patients with obesity also suffer from depression. It is seen that the risk of suicide is about 20% in patients with major depressive disorder. Apart from depression, conditions that we've already seen before, including anxiety disorder, can precipitate suicidal behaviors in these patients. Eating disorders such as bulimia or binge eating disorder are also associated with an increased risk of depression and hence increased risk of suicide. Apart from psychiatric conditions, somatic chronic medical illnesses, as we can see in this image shown here, a number of such conditions are also associated with an increased risk of suicide, contributing to the probable increase in the risk of suicide after in obese patients. Uh, while this is only a hypothesis, the evidence to the increased risk of suicide in obesity is controversial. There are a number of studies which have shown positive and an inverse or no relationship between suicide and obesity. A systematic review of the evidence concluded that in the face of more frequent positive association, there is probably an increased risk of suicide after in obese patients, which persists after surgery. Mental health of obese patients, especially those undergoing surgery, was studied as early as 1991. Waters et al. Studied 157 patients who are undergoing gastric bypass during the period of 1985 to 1990. And they have conducted a mental health evaluation of these patients in the preoperative and postoperative intervals of 6 months, 12 months, 24 months, and 36 months after surgery. They have found that these patients showed an improvement in their psychosocial status at 6 months and 12 months after surgery, with a return to the pre-operative status at 3 years after surgery. And they have also seen that this worsening of psychosocial status at 3 years after surgery uh, was despite the fact that these patients had a successful and sustained weight loss at this period of time. In their study, they found 3 deaths from suicide and 2 deaths from alcohol abuse in their total number of patients of 467. A case report published in 2005 of 3 cases of complete suicide showed that all the 3 patients who committed suicide, this was reported within a period of 1 year. And all of them suffered from recurrent major depressive disorder before and after the surgery, and all of them had significant weight loss after the surgery. This report further emphasized the need for a psychological evaluation of patients undergoing bariatric surgery before and after the surgery, along with the monitoring and evaluation of weight loss that we do after surgery. Adams et al. In 2007 published a retrospective study of 7,925 bariatric patients. These were compared to age, sex, and BMI matched controls. After almost 7 years of follow-up, they've reported a decrease in all-cause mortality by 40%, along with disease-specific mortality But they have found that there is an increased mortality from externally caused deaths such as suicide, accidents, and others. Tyndall et al. In 2010 also conducted a retrospective study from data from the Pennsylvania medical records. They had found an overall suicide rate of 6.6 per 10,000 person years in their patients, with a rate of suicide twice as much in women compared to men. When compared to age-matched population, general population who are non-obese, uh, the rate in the obese patients was found to be almost twice overall. They had found that the mean time of death was about 3 years after surgery, but they did not have any preoperative data which will suggest the risk of suicide trends or of weight loss after surgery or weight regain after surgery. Since the peak of deaths from suicide was found around 3 years after surgery, they proposed a possible theory that the increase in the rate of suicide corresponds to a probable period of weight regain, but they did not have enough data to confirm this finding. In 2016, Bachman et al. Studied the effect of alcohol, substance abuse, depression, and the rate of suicide attempts in patients undergoing Roux-en-Y gastric bypass. The mean follow-up was 1.9 years, and the patient group was compared to a control group who were non-obese but were age and sex matched. They had found that alcohol abuse, substance abuse, depression, and suicide attempts were all higher in the surgical group after RYGB. So they had concluded that there was a higher risk of all of these conditions after RYGB compared to the general population. A systematic review published in 2019 by Castaneda et al. Of 32 studies with almost 1.5 lakh population. The systematic review included 14 prospective studies, 9 retrospective or cross-sectional studies, and 9 case control studies. They had found an overall mortality from suicide to be 2.7 in 1,000 patients. The 5 case control studies reported event rates of mortality or self-harm in comparable cohorts of non-surgical patients. 3 of these studies compared the patients to their preoperative. The control group in 3 of the studies were the same patients in the preoperative period, while in 2 studies the control groups were from the general population. On overall analysis, they had found that bariatric surgery patients after surgery had an increased risk of suicide compared to age, gender, and BMI matched controls. The overall odds ratio was 3.8. Subgroup analysis performed in this population showed that the rate of suicide was higher in RYGB patients when compared to LAGB patients. The limitations of this study was that they did not include data regarding the pre-existent psychiatric conditions of these patients before the surgery. They also lacked post-surgical BMI data, which would have helped to analyze if these patients had successful weight loss or if there were patterns of weight regain contributing to the increased rate of suicide, or they did not give data on the mean duration after which the rate of suicide seemed to have increased in these patients. In 2019, non-randomized prospective study, probably the only prospective study with the outcome, with the aim to analyze the outcome of suicide and self-harm, was conducted by the Swedish obesity subjects study. Their primary outcome was all-cause mortality at 10-year follow-up. So the patients were followed till the primary outcome was reached, which included a follow-up of 10 years or death due to suicide or other causes. This study included a total of 2,007 patients in the surgery group and 2,037 patients in the control group. The mean follow-up was 21 years. They have also analyzed all the contributory pre-operative characteristics, which included the following. They had found that age was significantly lower. Patients in the surgical group were significantly younger. The BMI of the surgical patients was higher. Surgical patients also had higher history of daily smoking, history of self-harm, history of diabetes, and work restricting joint pain. All of these were higher in the surgical group, while health-related quality of life scores were lower in the surgical patients. The results of the study was a 24% decrease in overall mortality, but the risk of suicide of self-harm was higher in the surgical patients, almost twice, with a hazard ratio of 1.9. They also studied the factors which have led to increased suicide or self-harm. As we can see here, the darker line shows the number of cases of suicide in the surgery group, and this is the control group. We can see here that the increased risk of surgery was higher in men when compared to the women in bariatric surgery patients. Other factors which increased risk of suicide after surgery included history of self-harm or mental disorder, history of psychiatric drug use, therapeutic, and sleep difficulties in these patients. Based on these risk factors, they developed a predictive tool for risk of suicide after bariatric surgery in patients, which I'll discuss later. So the possible causes for the risk of increased suicide in bariatric patients was theoretically proposed by Michel et al. He had four models. One of them is hopelessness. So basically, psychological problems associated with weight may persist in spite of weight loss. And these psychosocial problems, if not addressed in the preoperative period, which might not resolve in the postoperative period, can cause a sense of hopelessness in patients. These patients who experience continued new or re-emergent problems associated with weight regain feel that their last hope for a better life is lost, and think that now there can be no other solution for their psychosocial problems. Uh, Patients after surgery may also develop a heightened sense of negative feelings towards their own body. This can be increased by the surgery because of associated conditions such as pain or excess skin hanging, which are probable after a bariatric surgery. In some patients with unrealistically high standards or expectations, there is a chance of increased self-blame, in which case they enter a state of psychological feeling that suicide is the only way to escape from this state of self-awareness. This has this can be a cause for dissatisfaction in bariatric patients. Uh, Montpellier et al. Had shown that in patients seeking body contour surgery, body image dissatisfaction leads to higher rates of depression in spite of comparable postoperative BMI with patients who do not seek body contouring surgery. So setting a realistic postoperative goal is important in these patients. Surgery can also lead to increased tension or disruption in their family, friends, or interpersonal relationships of any sort, uh, and can lead to precipitating suicidal ideation. While majority of studies have shown an overall improvement in interpersonal relationships after bariatric surgery. So the role of the surgeon in evaluating and decreasing this possible risk of suicide attempts or completed suicide after bariatric surgery involves, first of all, being aware of the potential of psychiatric illness in bariatric surgery patients and obese patients in general. A preoperative evaluation of the psychological status of the patient is now mandatory uh, in all patients undergoing bariatric surgery. This evaluation uh, usually consists of both the structured clinical interview, which is performed and should be performed by a mental health specialist, and the use of psychometric tools. Uh, Poiri et al. Have given a few contraindications for surgery. Uh, Psychological illnesses that should preclude surgery include active psychiatric illness, including major depression, eating disorders, or substance abuse. History of suicide attempt within the last 18 months. Mental or intellectual limitations, which would make adherence to all dietary lifestyle modifications which are recommended to the patient difficult. The ASMBS provides recommendations for pre-surgical psychological evaluations of bariatric surgery. Uh, they have given guidelines as to the need for assessment and assess what should be assessed and the psychological testing tools. They've also mentioned the qualifications of the evaluator and standardized reporting. They've also emphasized on the need for behavioral monitoring after surgery. According to these guidelines, all patients require a pre-operative psychological evaluation. The evaluation should be performed by a mental health specialist, and the reporting should be complete and comprehensive, so that further evaluation can be continued into the post-operative period. Coming to the assessment content and psychological testing tools, the assessment content should focus on multiple aspects of psychosocial aspects, including behavior, which includes previous attempts at weight management, eating and dietary styles, physical activity or inactivity, history of substance abuse, history of health related risk taking behavior or legal history. Uh, the other aspect includes current life situation, including overwhelming life stressors or utilization on provision of social support for these patients. Patients should be evaluated for their cognitive and emotional functions, so that we will be able to assess whether the patient is completely able to understand the risks and benefits of the surgical interventions and is able to cope with the changes that happen post operatively. History about psychopathological and patient's development should be included in the assessment. Patients' expectations from surgery and motivation to follow the recommendations provided after surgery are important to be assessed. Assessment tools. An ideal assessment tool should have a general reliability and validity as an assessment tool for any condition. Uh, these assessment tools should have bariatric norms, because most of these tools are made for general population and only few have been studied in bariatric population with established norms in bariatric patients. The relevance of the domains assessed by the instruments to weight loss surgery should be good. There should be empirical evidence demonstrating a relationship between the instrument and the surgical outcome. Uh, it's also important to know that there could be a degree of self-report bias in these tools, because most of these patients want to look their best before surgery, so that surgery is not postponed, and so they might not be completely truthful when filling up self-report questionnaires. Tools should be cost effective and should not consume too much time. And an assessment tool ideally should be able to provide information that is both important and that which cannot be attained with the clinical interview. There are multiple types of assessment tools. Multi-scale assessment tools assess all aspects of behavior. For example, the Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory. The restructured form of this inventory was studied in bariatric patients by Markel et al. Single-scale inventories are specified to a particular problem, such as depression, anxiety. The Beck Depression Index, or BDI, has multiple versions and is probably the most commonly used tool for evaluation of depression. Specialized inventory, especially those relevant in bariatric surgery, include the binge eating scale, the night eating questionnaire, alcohol use disorder identification test or audit, or the impact of weight on quality of life tool. This is a table showing a number of psychometric tests available, and here we can see that a few of these have empirically formed bariatric norms. The Beck depression inventory is probably the most commonly used tool, and it takes very minimal amount of time, which makes it popular. The Beck Depression Index was developed in 1961, and it underwent a few changes. The currently used version is the BDI-2, which correlates with the um, criteria in DSM-4 for diagnosis of depression. Uh, According to the BDI-2, a total score of 60, BDI-2 has a total score of 62, and depression can be diagnosed once the score is more than equal to 13, more than 13. This is the Beck Depression Index 2. It has 21 components, and the total score comes to 62. This Beck depression score was studied in bariatric surgery patients. A comparison was performed of the two versions of the Beck depression index. It was compared with the gold standard for assessment, which is the structured clinical interview based on DSM-4. They have found that the BDI-2 has 100% sensitivity and 100% of negative predictive value. So this is a very good tool to be used as a screening tool. And once patients take this Beck Depression Index questionnaire and are suspected to have be suffering from depression, they should undergo a further evaluation uh, by a mental health specialist and management as necessary. Another questionnaire called the Patient Health Questionnaire was compared with this Beck Depression Index too, and was also found to show good correlation. This is a simpler questionnaire. One item of this questionnaire completely assesses the patient's suicidal ideation, and they have shown in the study that this item of suicidal ideation showed substantial correlation between the BDI-2 and the PHQ-9. This is the risk scoring, which was developed by regression models based on the data from the Swedish obesity study. Swedish obesity subject study. These are the risk factors they have found to contribute to increased risk of suicide after surgery. These are sex, smoking, a history of self-harm, history of mental health disorder, psychiatric drug use, sleep difficulties, and current depression or anxiety. Based on the increase in the hazard ratio, for example, men have a hazard ratio of 2.1, while women have a hazard ratio of 2. So when the hazard ratio was increased by more than 1, they have given it 1 point. So this is increased by 1.1, so that is 2 points. And this is increasing by 1.9, so that is 3 points. So the total score of 13, the total score of this tool is 13, and here they have given the probability of risk of suicide in patients according to the score. This score has not been validated in other studies apart from the Swedish study in which it was first developed. Preoperative counseling plays a very important role in decreasing the risk of suicide in bariatric surgery patients. Assessing the patient's expectation is and helping them set realistic goals is a very important aspect of preoperative counseling. It's important to help patients to understand the possibility that they might be suffering from behavioral or other psychological conditions that may need evaluation and treatment even after surgery. It's also possible that obese patients do not cope up with the weight loss that they undergo after surgery, and this needs to be addressed in the preoperative phase itself. Another important thing I would like to talk about is weight bias. Weight bias is having negative attitudes toward and beliefs about others because of their weight. This can manifest as stereotypes or even frank prejudice against patients who are obese or overweight. While this stereotypes are an example of explicit weight bias, a lot of people have automatic negative thoughts towards excess weight, and that is called implicit weight bias. It has been shown in studies that even healthcare providers are subject to this weight bias, and this may be because of because of an inadequate understanding of the complex etiology of obesity, or because of the general belief that obesity is behavior related and surgical treatment is probably futile. The impact of this weight bias is that it might make patients feel stigmatized and stop them from coming to seeking healthcare in the first place. Uh, a study was conducted in professionals related to healthcare, including clinicians, researchers, pharmacists, and others. And they have found a significant amount of implicit anti-fat bias in these populations. It was also shown that lower amount of anti-fat bias was shown in participants who were male or older, or having a positive emotional outlook on life, or who themselves were weighing more or had friends who were obese. This I found this test on online. This is the project Implicit, which gives a number of tests that to identify implicit attitudes of the general public. So reducing weight bias, it is important because of the effects of weight bias that we have seen on healthcare. So education on obesity as a chronic disease and understanding the complex etiology and treatments involved in obesity, awareness among patients regarding the impact of obesity and the challenges of living with obesity and the difficulty in the process of weight loss. Uh, Also, a important thing is the hospitals and healthcare facilities should provide facilities for obese patients. These include things such as appropriate furniture, equipment, and other facilities. So this is a, I would like to summarize this presentation by this statement given by the ASMBS for the sake of patients. Uh, they said that it is a misconception that surgery increases the risk of suicide. While there is a significant increase in suicide occurrence after surgery, this is usually seen in patients with undiagnosed pre-existing psychological disorders and others with overwhelming life stressors, and they emphasize on a comprehensive evaluation of these patients before and after surgery by behavior therapists. So the take-home message is that the benefits of surgery should outweigh the risks in these patients. Mental health professionals should be part of the bariatric team. Preoperative counseling should involve setting realistic goals in these patients. in patients undergoing bariatric surgery, and their psychological evaluation should be continued in the postoperative period, even when significant weight loss is being achieved. And the last and also an important thing is to minimize weight bias, especially in the healthcare setting. Thank you.